that we can get started with everyone. So what I just wanted to start off with first for tonight is the first thing is if you want to have the playlist, does anyone not have the playlist that wants to enjoy that experience? Because if so, I'll type it in. Okay. Yeah, so I'll just make sure that you have that. For those of you catching the replay now, it's the Spotify one. If you also just go to katie.fen on Spotify, then you'll be able to find it under Self-Love Workshop. But schwangity schwang. Sally has me on headphones and hope that I hope not either. But it would be funny if like in one ear you have me being like, let's talk about self-love. And then you're like, that is my vagina. Oh, no, it should be locked, Oren. Can you get into the, with the password on here to get into the, to get in tonight? It should be the same password as always, but here, why don't I actually send this link to you if you're in touch with someone who wants to be in it right now, and see if that works for her. It should just be with that passcode. Although the only thing is, we have our whole like UK contingent of people, and I know that someone from that, she had tried to, I couldn't tell if it was the time zone issue or if there was actually an issue with potentially if they tried to come in late, like couldn't for whatever reason. Anywho, Oren, you let me know what's up with that and whether she can get in. And otherwise, we're going to begin. If you do have the playlist, we're going to start it in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so we're going to start first with everyone just sharing what's up, like how are you feeling today? We have a full moon tomorrow. I also know that some of you have been to all the live workshops. Some of you, this might be the first one that you've tuned in for. I also know that a lot of people are like unpacking stuff from workshop 1 and are like, I'm gonna watch these, like they're giving themselves time to digest and process or whatever else. So I just wanted to check in first of just knowing, number 1, if anyone is here for the first time, just type that in. And the second thing is just for you to write in one word how you're feeling in this moment, and then we'll put it up in that chat box. So we've got words like grounded, motivated, relaxed, hopeful, content, receptive, excited, hopeful, excited, inspired, hopeful. Great words. Intrigued. Very great. First live sesh. Oh, Bree's on. Welcome, Bree. Same with Simone. Welcome. I think Eva too. Is it your first time coming live? So great. Welcome to being, Dal can't play music and watch Zoom at the same time. It's too distracting maybe. So you're just not meant to. I actually have it playing on my phone and then Zoom is here. Feeling inspired all around from a lot of people as well. So that's amazing. That's really what my intention has been around this. And what an amazing thing to start to feel inspired. Firstly, around love, around your love life, a thing where I think there's so much, like we talked about on day 1, so much projection from other people that we're carrying that's not actually ours. And once we start to unravel and detach from everyone else's kind of gunk around what love is, what our love life is, what's possible for us, what we're calling in, then we start to open up to this whole new vibration, which is hopeful, which is inspired, which is curious, which is excited, which is happy and joyful and in flow. And that's the beauty of this type of work, is that you get to experience that and you get to ride the wave of that. And it's just a really beautiful place to be. It's also a beautiful place to be, I think right now too, like every time that there's a full moon, there can be a lot of energy around, energy of all types, like really positive energy and really, negative, hard, difficult energy. I think that collectively we're feeling that a lot right now. There's a lot of darkness, issues being illuminated for everyone to sit with and unpack in the different ways and have that affect them. And we're also within that then seeing pockets of joy also emerge, or breakthroughs, or everything else. And just to remember that you get to hold both, that you can equally be in a space where you might be concerned or feeling uncertain about some different areas of your life or your world, and also give yourself the freedom and permission to feel joy, to feel inspiration, to feel hope in other areas at different times too. Like we just get to feel the full capacity of emotions, and you can be feeling two different ways, and that's okay. And that's often what happens around the time of full moons. I'm going to be giving you guys a full moon ritual for tomorrow to do, because I think it'll be really powerful. With that being said, now just owning where you're at in this moment, we're going to bring it into a meditation. Your music should have just started if you have the playlist playing, and if you don't, then you want to link up that YouTube that I had sent you guys, and I want you now to just start playing it and then close your eyes. It's about a 7-minute meditation for those of you who have never done these types of meditations before. And all you want to do is just be comfortable where you are, closing your eyes. As you close your eyes, the first thing to do is just start to soften your face. Often when we first close our eyes, our face actually has a ton of tension. You're like focusing so hard just to meditate. And instead, just starting to offer yourself softness in this moment, beginning with the point in between your eyebrows, just really letting it release, letting it start to calm down, letting it start to smooth out. Noticing if you need to move your jaw around at all, if you need to move your neck around in circles. And now bringing your awareness to the center of your chest. And as you naturally breathe, I just want you to focus on what it feels like as the breath goes up and down in your chest. As you feel your lungs expand, and then as you feel them contract, not focusing on the breath, but just focusing on that your lungs are breathing right now. And that you're not actually breathing your lungs. Your lungs are being breathed. So surrendering in this moment to letting yourself be breathed, to letting yourself be held by your own body and its perfection of how it can keep you alive just by being. Remembering our body has so much wisdom if we just get still and allow it to do exactly as it does. Starting to really bring awareness into your chest, into your lungs. What I want you to do is start to really expand the lungs as much as possible in your inhale, and then exhale, completely release. Like a big wave, breathing in, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, gently letting it out, letting the wave crash back down. 3, 2, 1. Inhaling again all the way to the top of the wave until your lungs feel like they've completely expanded. And then exhale, release, imagining a wave from the ocean gently crashing back down. Starting to ride the wave of your own breath. And now anchoring into your heart, which just means letting yourself focus in on the energy in your heart, but just letting your breath breathe naturally now. From this place of calming down your nervous system, of coming into your heart, into your body, into this present moment, I want you to think of a moment that you're really proud of yourself for. Just first think of whatever first comes to mind. A moment that you're proud of yourself for. And allowing that image to materialize, seeing where you were, what was around, who was around you, what you were wearing. And feeling in your heart what it feels like to feel proud of yourself. Now I want you to think of another moment. But this time I want the moment to be a moment you feel proud of yourself, but not for anything external, not for any accomplishment or success or something you checked off your life bucket list. Thinking now of a moment that you're proud of your character, a moment where you showed up authentically or in full integrity, or you spoke up for what was important to you, or a time where you honored loving boundaries for yourself. Thinking of that moment now, a moment that you're proud of your character, of the way that you showed up, of how you were you in that moment. Now imagining the details of that moment, of where you were, of what was around you. And as you focus in on that moment, feeling in your body again, what pride feels like, even deeper in your body. Rooting back now into the center of your heart. Gently opening your eyes, grabbing your journal, grabbing your piece of paper, writing out the 2 moments that you thought of, the moments that you were proud of, first yourself of whatever came through, and then secondly, a moment that you're proud of yourself for the way that you showed up just as you. You guys are gonna have about 2 minutes just to write. And as you're writing, I want you to write as many of the details as possible. You can remember smells, if any, colors, what you were wearing, who's around you, visuals, anything that you saw. So you'll take about a minute and a half just tonight to keep on writing. And then if those of you have finished a little bit early, we'll just take another 30 seconds. But start to notice in your body, if you feel any physical sensations, just trying to pinpoint for you, where in your body do you feel the feeling of pride? Where does pride live in your body? Then when you find it, you just sort of breathe into it. All right, so I'll have everyone now finish that up. Obviously can continue to keep writing about it, but we're gonna do a share. The first share will be the moment that came up for you. Oh, this is the first thing, just to see though. If, when you type it, so the moment that you felt proud of, that was the first one. That was like automatically, this is the moment that came to me. And just saying like, yes or no, it was the moment that I would have thought was the one that came up. Sometimes it's just always interesting, like what comes up, because you would have been like, huh, that was a really interesting one, not what I thought it. So just the one that first came to mind, and just write what it was. And yes, if it was one that you kind of would have expected, and an N if it was no. That was so like, just like, huh, interesting. Wasn't expecting that one. And if anyone just signed in, I see that we've had some later arrivals as everyone's typing that. So just so that you know, we just went through a meditation where we were activating pride, the feeling of pride. And we were just talking, and you were guided to see a moment that you felt proud of yourself for, and then another moment that you felt proud of yourself just for the way that you showed up, like for being in integrity, or your character, or the way that you expressed yourself, or just were yourself. So the first one that everyone's going to share is the moment, who wants to share, the moment that they felt proud of, that was, that they just felt proud of. So Caitlin says, hitting 100 classes at bar, the workout, yes. Oh my, amazing. Do they give you a little, I love at fitness studios when they do that. That's a great, do they give you like a little thing when you do that? Jen says, when I crossed the border on a budget bus into Belgium, which is my 50th country, a goal that I've been chasing for 4 years with my best friend. Yeah, that's so, see, these are, as you read them too, as everyone else is, and I'm reading some of them, just notice again, same thing, that feeling of pride in your body. Notice what happens too as you're reading through the other people's moments. Dal says, when I had to play 12 different people in a play. Yeah, that's a hard one. Walking on stage to pick up my degree, had an unexpected medical glitch in university, so to conquer that goal was so big. Yeah, Katie, that sounds big. Christy says, I kept a huge secret from my mom to surprise her, but I always tell her everything. So this is a big deal for me. And that is actually interesting that you're proud that you were able to create this beautiful surprise for her and actually keep it under wraps. That's awesome. Graduating from my master's, what you expected. Interesting, Dee, your most recent work promotion. Oh, it says that you did expect that a lot. So we have graduating university, graduating college. Interesting though, some of you said the graduation ones were ones you expected, and some of you thought no, which is really interesting. Jenna, interesting. In ending a relationship that wasn't working for me anymore. Not one that you expected. Cool. How I was, and then right underneath that, Jacqueline says how I was able to end relationships that didn't serve me. Very cool. Tina, similar thing, walking away from a project I was working on for 6 months because it didn't align with me or the brand I've been building. That is huge. So having the confidence to walk away from these things. And also another travel one too, university graduation and my bucket list, alone from Arizona to California. That's a cool road trip. Producing and running a convention, which was what you expected, but that's just so badass. It also makes me so happy when we read these because it's so awesome for all of us to gather together. Like we're always in such good company when we come to spaces like this, because it's really groups of people that are really here to elevate themselves. And it's just, you're in the company of really amazing people. Even if you're watching this replay too, I know that you're amazing, and we'll hear your shares as well. buying my condo. Oh, it's so funny too, because sometimes you guys write the same things right underneath each other. So same thing, Nadia just wrote buying a condo when I turned 30, not what I thought. And then right under that, Larissa just said buying my condo, first home after my breakup. That's so cool. Moving across the country to end the toxic codependent relationship. Yes, that's massive. Marina thought that it was going to be work related, but it was when she made the decision not to hold space for one of my oldest friends and my ex, and it showed me that there's now room for more meaningful relationships. That's huge. So it's interesting. Some of you had ones just that were really around boundaries, basically, and feeling proud of having expressed those healthy boundaries. That's amazing. Completing a lectureship, that's very cool. And Ali says that she had always wanted to do stand-up comedian, very cool. And at the end, they had to do a real comedy show where she had a 5-minute bit. I felt completely in my element when I thought I would feel scared. And stranger who had seen this show came up, how about how funny you were. Ah, that's great. Okay, so the first was very cool. Sally also, same thing, had when she bought an apartment after she broke up. I think she said endgame, but I'm assuming that's engagement. Graduating from law school. Oh, another lawyer babe up in it, Simone. Law school is one of the great best days. Okay, amazing. So that was the first reason that we do that, is because sometimes when we think of pride and the feeling of pride, we think first often of things that we expect or accomplishments. So things that are sort of like real life check marks. So those would be the one. So it's interesting, there was a lot that was around like my first time that I bought, made this massive financial decision. So buying my first home, or, doing something like that, or travel. Like I'd had this goal to have gotten to this certain place of all these different countries and spaces. I'm so proud that I like checked that goal off the list, or a lot around schools. The interesting thing is some of you already had the thing come up in that initial one, which is what we were going to do next, was like, okay, like go deeper. What are you proud of that like really comes from the depths of you, that's about your character, that shows you how you show up as a person so that you can then honor that in this moment? That's really what this is about. So what you're going to do now is also share the one that was about your character, of just what was the thing that came up for you, that some of you already had it actually with those expressing boundaries, because maybe your soul tonight is telling you like you need a double dose of owning your amazing, beautiful character and your ability to create those healthy boundaries. Like whatever comes up in meditations is always just wisdom from your soul about what you need. So especially those of you in the first part of the meditation that had that stuff come through of things that were about those boundaries, basically, it seemed like a lot of you had. I think that those are your soul giving you a double message of like, yeah, girl, like, or men's, like, own it, for really honoring who you are. So the next part is, I want you guys to share now what your things about your character were that came up in the meditation. Oh, interesting. So Caitlin, I'll wait for some of them to come in too, but that's a beautiful one, Caitlin. She said, showing up for my mom and aunts when my grandfather died, because that shows, again, your character, the type of person that shows up for others and loves them unconditionally when they need support, even when you're grieving too. Facing my co-parent for the first time in public, the day I learned of infidelity. Ooh, yeah, that is a big one. Being able to show up there and not run away and face whatever's just happened to you. When I showed up to my first therapy session ever, after years of telling myself that getting help was a sign of weakness. That's interesting. Also not what you expected to come up. See, this is the thing. So even as I continue to read them out, the next thing as you're reading them too is to think about like, that's so interesting. Just starting to think like, oh, that's really interesting. What are these messages telling me? And what are they telling, what have all these messages been telling you? So whatever the quality was of that is what we're going to be talking about next. So what quality was coming out of these moments? So I see like a lot of ones around courage, or being able to hold that beautiful, compassionate space and really empathize with others. Eva says, ending a relationship that wasn't making me happy anymore, showed up for myself, even though it was hard. Man, it's so true. Leaving relationships is really hard, and choosing us and knowing, again, that there's a bigger love out there is such a tough one. And that's you choosing you, though, and just being in that integrity with yourself. Karen says how I'm able to lovingly connect with my patients and hug them goodbye from the hospital, knowing I helped them walk out. Yeah, that's so special. You should be proud of that. I get like, I'm gonna cry reading all these because I'm just like, you guys are really special. So writing my toxic exit gratitude letter instead of anger and rage. Yes. Declining to meet up with an ex that popped back in during COVID. That's so big. Setting a boundary around intimacy and not abandoning myself. So actually, interestingly, a lot of you have gotten ones in the context of relationships, which is really cool, and just how you show up for others in your professional life, in your romantic life, and otherwise. Having a very vulnerable conversation with someone most recently I was dating and asking if we were aligned. He wasn't ready for what I wanted, so we respectfully parted ways. Expressing myself without fear and holding space for him to be authentic without judgment. Yeah, that's huge when you're able just to say, this is where I'm at. And if you don't align with it, that's cool. I wish you all the best, but it's time for us to peacefully and gracefully walk away from each other. Allie gives a caveat that hers is going to sound weird. Nothing ever sounds weird to me. I've heard it all. I'll tell you that much. But when I was 6 years old, my friend came up to me with my dad to some events, and she peed her pants. And she was so embarrassed that I peed my pants too. It's like in Billy Madison. That's the best. I couldn't handle the feeling of her feeling alone. And Dal says, being in the realness version of myself to my 2-year-old relationship with my boyfriend. Amazing. Yes, just being you. And then Christy says, I thought of a time this summer when I helped an elderly woman put bags of soil into her car at the Home Depot. Although I was absolutely filthy from working at a landscape job that day, it didn't matter. What mattered was kindness and consideration. Yes, big time. Sally ending the engagement. Yes. We walk away from things knowing that there's something else for us, and telling the head of my all-male team at work about a coworker who was sexist and bullied me behind office doors. Yes. Queen M. Ferris. I don't have your first name, but I'm just call you Ferris then. So this is so amazing. And firstly, sometimes what happens in self-love, if we're ever in a moment where we feel like our self-love is lacking, one thing that we can do is this. Firstly, just start to go through and remind yourself of why you love yourselves. It's just like sometimes we just forget. We forget that we're proud of ourselves. We forget how amazing we are. We forget all that we've done. And so sometimes it's this conscious remembering of this, this is who I am. These are the things that I've been through, and this is what I've done. And in the very least, you now have these two memories that you can anchor into, at least for the next little while, anytime that you're feeling like you're getting hard on yourself, just remembering who you are. You could also have a visual cue of these things, like if you wanted to have them, the same thing, like buy your affirmations from day one, just to have them to remind you of who you really are and how special you are. The second part within this, though, now is for us to look at the quality. So looking at the two things that came up for you, and I want you to think of what was the quality, what was the energy, or who was I being in those moments. So I see a lot of you were like, I was powerful. I was, I felt fully aligned, or I felt compassionate, or I felt free, or I felt successful, or I felt loving. And so I just want you to pinpoint what are those two qualities that came out from your two memories that just came up. And just write them down, what the two words were. Then you'll have your two words. And then what you're just going to do is write them in an I am statement. Just write them out literally on your paper. I am this, I am that. So what we're going to do now, we're going to circle back to those in a moment. And we're just going to shift gears a little bit into labels of who we are. So you just have two statements now of who you are, I am and I am. But now what I want you to do is to think about what are other labels that aren't qualities like that, or they could be, but I want you to think of what are some labels that you have that you refer to yourself. If someone were to meet you, you know, at an event and they said, who are you? And so how would you describe yourself? Like, what would you say you are? I am this, I'm that. You might be like, I'm a lawyer, I live in New York, I am a sister, I'm a daughter, I'm a cat mom, uh, and so just look at what are some of the labels that you generally have that you come to assume about yourself. And just like write any of them that come up. And then, of course, you're going to make sure that one of those labels has to do with how you label your romantic status. So you could be like, I am single. Or some of you, again, we can check ourselves before we wreck ourselves. And some of you are like, I am forever being alone. I am in a non-existent love life relationship. but you're just gonna, again, just write out what's in, again, be honest with yourself. Like if you have some wonky labels. Then I want you to think as you're continuing to write out these labels, do you have any labels that you kind of get down about yourself or just that you kind of put yourself down about? Like, for example, for me, I like often say I'm disorganized or I can be ungrounded. And like those things, fine, they can be qualities, but they don't have to be labels, because the more that they create that, then the more we just have to notice what are some of the things that we say that are kind of like undermining us, or where we're kind of beating ourselves up, sort of, we're almost like being critical of ourselves in a way that doesn't always serve us. So now that you have your labels, I want you now to add to your labels list. What are some labels that other people have put onto you? How would other people maybe describe or label you? For example, it's always so interesting to me. Sometimes there will just be other people in your life that will describe you differently than you would. So just noticing what other labels might other people use. So take about 20 minutes now with your labels, just writing down any others that you got. Who are you? How do I label myself? How do I describe myself? Who am I? All right. Finishing that up now, the whole idea is that you are not any of these labels. You are a soul having a human experience, and that your true essence is love. That you're just a soul, you're the energy of love, you're the energy of openness, you're a soul having an experience here. But any of these labels that have come have all been things that have been presumed and assumed onto you. And it means from that place, because we are humans though, still playing this human game, that we get to choose. And we get to therefore choose, like if your core really is, you're just a soul having a human experience, it is really trippy when you start to fully unpack this idea. Like everything that you describe about yourself is actually made up. Like there is no you. But so the beauty of this though, just to like bring it into the human, is that you at any point get to describe and label how you want to be and who you are and who you're becoming. And from that place, there's so much empowerment that can come. And so just looking at your list, I just want you to think now of if any of these labels are ready to go. If you're just like, I'm kind of over that one, I just don't really feel like doing that. And then also adding, are there any things or qualities that I really just want to step into? Like, I am powerful. So just going through your list And so you already have 2 of your I am statements. And so I just want you to pick 5 more of these labels, whether they're ones that you have or they're ones that you want to step into, that you'll also then add as your I ams. And I want them to be things that would help you to start to step into this next level, so amazing, vibrant, like queen, king version of yourself that knows deep down that you are worthy of all the things that you desire for yourself. So if you're thinking about that version of yourself that is like, hell motherfucking yeah, my big love is out there. I have the best, coolest, most amazing aligned life for me. I'm so grateful for it. I know that I'm a beacon of love. I know that everything is available to me that I desire for myself in my life. That version of yourself, I call her Da Queen or Da King. That version, what are 7 in total, so 5 more labels that describe that version of you, which I think is like the expanded, true, most gorgeous you and your greatness, full highest potential you. And this, what can be fun, I definitely want at least one of those to be like a label that you're just trying on. So you might be like, I don't know, I feel like maybe I would like to I went through ones for sure, but I'd be like, I'd like to try on sexiness. Like, let me see how that feels. Or I'd be like, I want to try on fierceness. Or I want to try, like, fierceness is a fun one. Like, I want to try on, or maybe like for all of you that have these beautiful, compassionate ones, like, yeah, I want to be like next level, just so loving. I just want to like, just be so gooey to everyone. That's what I call it, gooey. Like, I am gooey. Like, I'm just like full, like a pile of goo, just like gooing love to everyone. So just think of what are your 5 then? Yeah, risky. I am risky. Risky and frisky would be two funny ones. And frisky, yeah, Tina, I'm with you. Frisky would be funny. Yeah, everyone leaves this call, their next date. They're like, how would you describe yourself? And you're like, well, I'm trying something new. It's called being frisky. Okay, Jennifer, you have to go. Thanks so much for being here the last 3 days. Watch the rest tomorrow, and also there'll be a full noon little video for you to watch tomorrow as well. Okay, so that is, you now have your 5 or 7. Does everyone, I think everyone sort of has theirs now lifted out. The idea here, and we're going to share them in a moment, is because we're humans, having a time here, learning the lessons that we're here to learn, we're a soul having that human experience. The idea that is then becomes fun is that we get to try on every experience that we desire. So if you want to have the experience of being in the label or in the role of this quality or of this way of being described or of this way of creating your life or of this way of having partnership, that's available to you. And to me, that's like so much of just what our life is about, is just figuring out what do we want to experience it and then giving ourselves full permission to experience it all. Like, we have this beautiful life. We get to experience all the things. And so to not limit ourselves and to constantly be thinking forward of what is it that I'm being called to express and explore right now. The cool thing is that as we have this and as you have your 7 letters, or words rather, the universe then will start to match and align things. This is Manifestation 101 from yesterday, with things that are going to help you to step into these energies more. So for example, let's say you're like, I want to try on the label of adventurous again. Like, that feels fun. And then again, maybe it's that tomorrow you get hit by an ad by some really cool travel company and it starts to get you thinking again about in the future where you might want to go. Or maybe you have a friend who invites you to go on a hike somewhere the next day. So the more that we're clear on what it is that we want to start to embody, then the universe can also send us people to date, people to be friends with, or people to help us just express these qualities. So we're obviously here talking about the context of relationships. So what I find super fascinating is once you have these different qualities, that you'll actually start to, if you're intentional about it, attract in people to date that are going to help you to express this. So for example, I'd be like, I went through a stage where I was sees her is you if you could yourself now. There we go. So what you want to do is just to remember that the people that you're calling in may be here just to help you to activate those qualities. So I went through a stage where I was thinking I really wanted to practice playfulness. It was a time where like work was really intense. I'm like, I just need to embody more playfulness because I am like so intense right now at work. And then sure enough, I attracted in literally for a period of 2 months, every single guy that I dated was very the opposite, like had no aspirations really, but was so fun. And that's really actually what I needed. I needed someone to balance sort of I was in a very like focused, career driven place at the time. And I actually needed people like that in my life to help me embrace those qualities of play. And so what I want you to notice after this workshop and as you move forward, it's just who you start to attract in, who might not be the big love partner, but who's helping you to embody more of these qualities that you're feeling called to embody that much more. So the whole thing is that we're starting to understand this idea that everything in our life is helping us just to grow and to be more of who we are. And so even though you're calling in the big love relationship, and we've talked so much yesterday about what that might look like and how you can do that, it's just to remember that everything around us is helping us to be in the full expression of who we are, which means we're going to attract in other people that are going to help us that. And then instead of like writing them off because they're not what you thought the big love was, although we talked about that yesterday too, which is basically have discernment, focus on the content, not the frame. But it's also about seeing, well, okay, then maybe this person, I did say that I want to embody friskiness. And so this person who's very frisky has now come into my life. And like, isn't that interesting? The reason why we're doing this is because I think that true self-love comes from being in the embodiment of who we came here to be. When we're in that space of expressing ourselves authentically, of being who we came here to be, we are naturally an embodiment of love. And from that place, anything else can happen. And so you now have these 5 qualities. And what you're gonna do is to say them first in your head. And then I want you to share your 3 top ones and just write out your I ams. I'm reading some of the other comments now too. Like Tina said that someone asked her about her dating life, and you did from workshop 1. Stopped yourself from saying that it was non-existent. Exactly, because everything gets to be how do we describe it and play it. So you're just gonna write out what are 3 of your I ams. Again, remembering this idea, self-love comes from you just owning who you are and loving who you are. And part of that really just comes from being like, yeah, this is who I am. And I think that when we're rooted in that, it allows us to be a natural expression of love. I'm fearless, confident, and committed. I'm capable, independent, and hilarious. I am fearless. I am beautiful, I'm genuine, I'm witty, I'm happy, I'm uplifting, and I'm funny. Yes, especially with your funny comedy show stuff. I am worthy, I am genuine, I am loyal. I am free, powerful, and happy. Beautiful. I am funny. I love that a lot of you are owning how hilarious you are. I am funny, I am authentic, I'm aligned, I'm loving, curious, adventurous, I'm adventurous, creative, and fiercely passionate. I'm genuine, kind, and thoughtful. I'm free, gooey, yeah, gooey, goo, goo, Titra, and a leader. I am lovable, I am authentic, and I set boundaries that serve me. Yes, I'm an inspiration, I'm beautiful, I'm calm, I'm confident, I am open-minded, I am loving, I am soft, free, and a sexy ass biatch. Yeah, I'm happy, loving, very gooey, lots of goos in here, and calm. So what is we got a couple more coming in. I'm intuitive, vibrant, and connected with nature. Any of you who saw these words and you're like, yeah, I like that, I want to try that one on too, just like it's allowed, you can do that too. So what's so cool about these and what you'll do from them now is, so you have your list of like whatever 7 they are. Part of what your so what you're gonna do as your homework is for each of those qualities, similar to what we did with this pride exercise, going back and just remembering the moment where you embodied that quality. want you to think of a story or something in your life or something that happened where you were able to embody that quality, so that you're just, again, reminding yourself of how amazing you are and how wonderful you are and how lovable and authentic and genuine and kind and adventurous and fiercely passionate you are. And it's allowing yourself to just extend that love and acknowledgement to who you are. So what you'll do is you'll go through all 7 of those things, or however many you have, and you'll write after this, what are different times that you did that? That's going to be your first thing. The second thing that you're going to be doing is, again, similar to what I've told you guys before, like if you want to have them, you can write them down. Like I had shared before in the Facebook group, like I often write down affirmations or things that I really need to root into or imbibe or remember onto my cue cards, and I'll have them like in my journal, and then I just open up my journal and they're there. I just read them to myself, or I'll write them out in my journal, because writing things out really helps me to solidify them. Or if you're artistic, like these are ones from the retreats that I host. For those of you who have actually been on my retreats, you may recognize them. Jen, I see you smiling, but yeah, where you just write different words there around sort of a sun like this. So have them somewhere that you can see them, where you can be reminded. The way that you're letting this settle in is because you're going to be writing these memories or stories. If you have more than one that comes through, like you could do such an amazing, beautiful experience for yourself to actually go through these and write multiple stories. Like think of all the times where you've embodied these qualities, and similar as you're writing them, just remember, try and really break down. This comes from neuro-linguistic processing sort of approach to things, which is NLP. I don't know if some of you have been like danced around sort of some of that stuff, but it's ultimately just this idea. There's other parts of it, but what I took from the stuff that I've done around it was just that it helps you to remember that your mind is holding and stores onto memories through all the different senses. And so when you want to unlock new things for yourself, it can be helpful for you to go back to different memories and really unpack them, thinking like, what did I remember from what I smelt from there? What did I see? What was I wearing? What did I feel? Who was around me? Like going through your senses specifically, that will help you then to feel it in your body, which is then going to help activate it somatically, which would be like really powerful for you to be in the actual embodiment of love. In all of this, you're just reminding yourself of who you are, and you're amazing. You all are so amazing. And so part of the real self-love is just remembering, like peeling back the layers of just forgetting and instead coming back into that remembrance. So that's the first part of it. The second thing is then to write it out so that you can be reminded of who you really are and how much you actually respect yourself and how much of those qualities you do really love and what it is that you're growing into. The next thing is that from a practical perspective, when you're reminding yourself of what you are and you're telling yourself like, wow, I am confident, I am open-minded, I am loving, I am a sexy ass bitch, like whatever we are doing, what's so cool is that the more, it always starts with us. So the more that we are telling ourselves and acknowledging ourselves that whatever we are, the more, again, that the universe is just going to mirror it back to us. And that's the beauty of true self-love work and true self-work and soul work, is that the universe then will reflect back to us what we are, but it has to start with us. But the more that you're in this acknowledgement of who you are, the more that naturally it's like it'll just be reflected to you in your life. Like things, circumstances will manifest so that you'll be shown it. So the next thing, similar to like what we did in the first exercises and what hopefully you guys will continue to share for those of you who are in the Facebook, is just seeing how things have already started to shift. Like maybe you all of a sudden were like, oh yeah, the quality that I don't normally think about is that I'm a leader, but then maybe it's that all of a sudden next week you get an opportunity to be a leader and someone's like, hey, you're an amazing leader. And you're like, thank you, I know. But I receive that because I've been acknowledging that. So it's kind of like this fun game, honestly. When you write out these things and you're in the acknowledgement, it's actually so cool because you really will do the experiment and you then will have the evidence to see that the universe will reflect back to you what it is that you are holding within yourself in really positive ways. And sometimes too, when we're feeling funky, sometimes that will also be reflected to us as well, but how we can come back to it. That is going to be really powerful. So the next thing will just be to kind of reflect in the next couple weeks of how how if other people reflect that back to you, or if you get opportunities to step into these qualities, whether it's at work, whether it's with friends, whether it's in dates or whatever else. It's a really cool thing. Oh yeah. The other thing is, okay, so Tina actually said it well, because she just flipped to a page in her notebook from when I was coaching her, because I made her come up with I call them, again, the queen. Like whenever I'm coaching people, I'm like, what is like what is the most queen version of you? Which is ultimately like, what is your highest potential? What is your highest self? And so we do it in love, but we do it in all areas. And the queen version of yourself, or the king version, just start with this, like start with looking at these qualities and fleshing them out. So you'll have your past memories that you've written out, and now just reminding yourself what might it look like in the future you to really even more fully embody these qualities. So you could be like, I think Chrissy, you had said, I think one of yours was loving and compassionate, or you were the one that had the story about helping someone that was struggling with her groceries. So just start thinking of like, in the future, this is what I'd want. So we're doing a review of the past and how you are that, and then we're coming into the present by affirming it with the I ams. But then we're also looking to the future. Like, what would the future version of me, who's even more this way, who's like, this is a challenge, like who's even more gooey. For those of you who said goo balls, like imagine being even more goo, or even friskier, or even sexier, like, or even more authentic. And I want you just to start to think of and flesh out for you, what is that? Like, what would it look like for you to next level start to embody these things, and start to dream that dream for yourself and write out those different things. So that's going to be your next part of the work, would be to look at the future you. And then the last part of this, just from like a dating and love perspective, is big love comes from authenticity. Like, it comes from many things. It comes from having done the hard work to make yourself so open and to clear the past and to clear past baggage. And it comes from being in that space of really loving yourself and loving your life. But part of it just comes from being in that space where you just know yourself so well. So A Course in Miracles always talks about this, it talks about partnership, and it basically says two people have come together when they've looked inside and seen no lack, and from that place of wholeness they come together. And the whole idea in that spiritual text, which I love, is that two people, and also this is affirmed in like many different other spiritual texts, this idea that two people, when they come together in true conscious partnership, are here because they're meant to elevate each other, they're meant to expand each other, and they actually are supposed to, like, there's something about your mission and your purpose, and there's something about their mission and their purpose that's meant to be activated together. Like, there's qualities that they're meant to amplify in you, and there's qualities that you're meant to amplify in them, that has to do with both of your own unique mission. So in that sense, your two missions are intertwined. Sometimes that means that you truly have the same mission. Sometimes it really just means that you're both here to help activate each other. So the thing is, what you're doing here, and I love that whole idea when I was single too. That's part of like this whole paradigm that I think is emerging for all of you. And with this idea of big love, it's like, I think that those who are willing to do this internal work, to really look inside, to come into full wholeness, are the ones that then get the beauty and like the reward basically of getting to be in these epic, soul expanding, activating, beautiful types of partnerships that are designed really for that like higher purpose of you being even more yourself, doing all the magic and sharing your light and your amazingness in the world in the way that you're supposed to, as is your partner, which is like, how amazing is that? So how you do that though is you continue to come into wholeness. And so what you're doing now is you're rooting into these qualities of, who am I? Who am I in these moments? These are my I am statements of who I am now. And I know that in the past, these are the ways that I've been in this. Then you're also looking to the future. This is how I'm going to become even more of this as I move forward. So then the last part of this, just knowing that, is as you're going forward to date, like that's your homework. But then just, this is the cool part, as you're going forward to date and as you're calling people in and as you're exploring different connections, the cool thing is when you approach dating from this place of being like, what qualities or what parts of myself does this person bring out in me? What are they amplifying in me? What quality comes out really naturally? So when we're dating people, sometimes it's, a certain aspect of yourself, like, maybe talking about your family is really sensitive for you, but with someone that's like really, available, or sometimes that adventurous part of you or softer part of you doesn't often come up, but with this person, for whatever reason, it does. So always as you're dating, just looking at like, what is this person expanding in me? What are they highlighting in me? What are they helping me to activate more of, and that playfulness in them, because everyone's just a mirror for us. The next part of it is to remember too, as you're approaching dates, that you're going into it being like, this is who I am. And the beauty is when we approach dating, knowing who we are, then it's this law of strong attraction, strong repulsion, basically. But it does mean that those people that you're meant to connect with, when you're in your wholeness, when you're in your authentic truth, when you're just like, this is who I am, this is the person that I am, I know from the past, I know, from the future, it allows you to show up most authentically, feeling really secure and feeling really good. And from that way, it breeds the most perfect ground for a true sort of authentic connection to develop if it's meant to. And so that's a really beautiful thing too, and what I wanted us to focus in on. That really true self-love, I think, comes from just knowing ourselves so well and knowing all of our shadow and also all of our light. Tonight we are focusing a little bit more on our power and our light and all of our beauty and grace, but this equally applies to too, just knowing yourself so well. Also knowing like, where do you hold yourself back? We're not even going to get into any of that tonight. We're just focusing on how amazing and beautiful you are. So that's the other part of it, is just remembering that that's who you are. The other thing that I would encourage you to do too is that you now have these stories. You have these beautiful stories that have shown what are past examples of who you really are. And so when it comes to dating, I think that a lot of people, like if you know me, now you have for the 3 days. If you didn't know me before, you definitely, I feel like, know hopefully more of me now. But it's, I always had difficulty just like not holding back. Like I just need to be myself. And so my necklace is a moonstone because we've got that full moon. So the reason why though, it's just so much more powerful to share these authentic stories about yourself. So next time when you're going on a date, what I would love for any of you to do, just to be aware of, is when you're opening up, you now have these stories or things to share about yourself that are actually your authentic truth. So just even like, it's not like you have to think of it and bring it up being like, oh, I totally want to tell this person the story about when I did this. But even like, if you just looked at all those stories that a lot of you shared about your pride moments, like I think I at least definitely like looked at those stories and was like, that's so amazing. I'm so happy that you shared that. And I think that anyone who's dating you, who should be there dating you, or who you have a connection with, should feel that same way. So it's one of the things I just wanted you to like start to root into is self-love, coming from this place of being okay to be who you are, and being okay to be who you are and love who you are, and being able to show up in the context of dating and love from that place. And so this time too, I think sometimes it's like people don't often think about who they are. And that's why I feel like sometimes people just trudge around the surface on dating, which is like, I think honestly, it just wastes time. Like just get in, like just come full who you are. And then, like, is this something that I want to explore here or not? Do we vibe? Do we not? And the more you can just come up expressing who you really are here, the more that will be available for you, which is so fun. So that's one other takeaway from this, is just in the context of dating, just noticing like, you don't, again, have to think that you're going to talk about these things, but just to know that that if it's in the back of your mind, that it'll naturally come out, and that's also the magic, is that the universe will conspire to you the most excellent person for some of these stories to come out. And then this is what I love about dating too, because then you get to express this, what you already expressed on the pages of your journal. It's like a really powerful, that's why I think it's so amazing dating on the path to big love, because like it's such a powerful thing to have someone else who doesn't know you that well be there just to witness you, and to you have to express and be who you are, and have someone else connect or not connect with that. Like it's such juicy humanness. Like it's so interesting. It's just like a different, I think, more conscious approach to dating, which has always been my approach to teach people, versus like, I don't even like I don't know what people talk about that wouldn't be that. But so I think that just remember why I'm like stumped. Maybe we could do that another time. Maybe in the Facebook group you can tell me like, what is the most awkward, boring conversation that you've had on a date? Because I'm like so Scorpio, so I'd be like every single day for the I would get into like every guy's mom issues with them. I'd be like, so tell me about your family, and then like tell me more. But anyway, so the whole thing though, that's why I was single for 8 years. No, I'm just kidding. But anyway, what you want to do here though is just to allow yourself to be authentically you and express these stories. So the last thing that we're going to do, once again, is just write out a commitment. What are you committed to doing going forward in order to love and honor who you are more? So maybe for you, it's like, I'm really actually committed to, before a date, this could be a cool thing, like before a date, just sitting and reading back some of these stories to myself, or reading these affirmations and really being reminded of who I am. Or I'm really, or maybe one of the qualities, you're like, yeah, I'm really needing to express healthier boundaries right now. And I'm really committed from here on, just really like having strong boundaries with people in my life. Whatever just first comes to mind for you based on anything that came out of the workshop tonight, just what's one commitment that you've got that's going to really help to love and honor who you are going forward. Once you've got it, put it in the chat box. We'll chat about them, and then we'll be all done for tonight. So Tina says, committing to reminding herself of who the fuck she is before a date or in general. Yes, repeating it. It's really, really, really powerful stuff. Committed to revising these lists regularly, of being, I am self-confidence, I am worthy is a challenge. Yeah, so just looking back then too, of just, I am worthy, like looking where were times where you felt worthy before, or what were times. I think worthiness is if it's hard to access, go back to the pride ones. Like those, I think for people, if they can't access like worthiness or confidence, they can usually start to think of like, that was a moment I'm proud of myself for. Like objectively, that was a good moment. So I would go back to those memories a lot for that one. I'm committed to only going on dates with people I'm excited about. Yes, Queen, that's such a good one. All of us could definitely also commit to that one. That's perfect. I'm committed to expanding one affirmation each day with the past memory. Yeah, when we tie our words with a memory and then put it somatically into our body, that's where the power is. That's where so much magic is. I'm committed to honoring myself, staying open-minded, and being receptive to whatever presents itself, and remembering how great I am. Beautiful. I'm committed to ask the real questions that I want to ask before meeting someone or seeing someone again if they pop back up out of nowhere. Yes, honoring, same thing, boundaries. That's so good for her. I'm committed to setting stronger boundaries with people who try and come in and out of my life at their leisure. Yay for the boundaries. Schwaggity dang. I'm committed to staying curious and not writing a story or getting ahead of myself. Amazing, D. I'm committed to going over my affirmations every day to keep myself in the now. Yes, present. Who am I? Today, who am I? And to know they shift, right? Like I think Katie just said she's going to go back to hers regularly. Like they shift. Maybe you need to try on a different quality. Maybe you're like, think of them as like clothes. You're like, I just want to try on this one today. I'm committed to portray my authentic self only. Yes, Nicole, amazing. I'm committed to showing up on dates as my lots of you then, pulling up in my full authentic self. Yes, because just remembering that, it's going to be strong attraction, which is the juiciest. And it will also mean that like, you're just going to fully not vibe with people. And that's the best, because then you just both know right away. And you're both just like, it's like total respect. It's like, oh yeah, you're great. You're just not for me. It goes on both ways. I'm committed to trusting my intuition and not trying to convince myself something is working when it's not. Perfect. I'm committed to honoring my needs and not settling for any poor behavior, and also committed to being open to what comes in. Yes, amazing. So keep yourself accountable to these. I'm committed to honoring who I am and what I need in partnership and being honest about it. Beautiful. Such good ones. So these are all super powerful, and keep rooting into them. I think that again, we talked about, this is sort of how we can activate self-love on a deeper way, by loving and honoring ourselves, by knowing who we are, by reminding ourselves, just having that remembrance. Sometimes we forget, and sometimes we often forget. And that is what we were working on tonight. So grateful for all of you for being here tonight, for everyone who came for the first time tonight, for those of you who have been here all 3 days, for those of you who have been for 2 days or replays or whatever else that you've been here for. These have been such an absolute joy for me to put together. They've been so fun. I originally on the thing was like, yeah, it'll be 30 minutes. And then I had so much stuff that I really wanted to come through, and loved having you all here and being so engaged. And it's just been so fun all around. So these have been so amazing. The last thing for everyone to know about these is that you have access to the replays until October 9th, so a week from now. So you have a week from now. Honestly, if you want to like sneak it into a friend that you think would also benefit from them to do this work, like just send them the all access link so that they can get in as well, and put it out there. I really love, like, I just tried to put really good stuff out there. And so if you feel like there's someone else in your life who didn't sign up and now they can't, like, just, or they technically can through the big page, but whatever. If you just want to flip them this, cool. If they need it, that's awesome. The other thing is to remember that tomorrow I'm going to be sending you guys an email with a full moon ritual to do, because full moons are the times that we release. And it's the first day of a new month. And there's also a full moon at the end of October. So this is like a very potent time of releasing the stories, releasing the limiting beliefs, releasing any blocks to love, releasing, you know, not being our authentic selves, not trusting ourselves and whatever else. And so I'm going to give you guys a ritual to do. By ritual, it's just going to be some journal prompts and a meditation for you to do tomorrow. And also tomorrow is when Big Love opens. For those of you who are thinking that you want to deepen into this work because you were in the workshops, you get $100 off, which is amazing. So that will be open tomorrow. I'll be posting obviously a lot about it because I'm so jazzed about it. But if you guys have any questions in the next week, like it's open for a week. So if you have any questions about registering or any of the stuff that we do in it, then I will let you know. Otherwise, I hope that you guys just feel so much love, so gooey, so inspired, so happy. And I can't wait to see you guys all soon and to see what happens on the other side of all of this for all of you in your love lives, whether or not you do Big Love or not. I love hearing stories of when really miraculous things happen as a result of this work. Like today, I was getting so many from people who have done Big Love before, but like even I haven't done something like this before. So if you have that, like, let me know, just because I find it, I just find it it makes me so happy. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. Thanks for all your thank yous. And I will see you guys soon. For those of you in the Facebook group, we'll be hanging out there for the next week and a half anyway. Have a beautiful night, and I'll see everyone soon.